Sorry, you caught me mid-yawn. Oh my gosh. So we um yesterday afternoon we went to see Wonka, and then we were planning on leaving Friday, and then we just decided it was one of those spur of the moment. I think the men were ready to get home into their own beds, and they were like, we could just leave tonight instead of tomorrow morning. We're not that far from home. And so we all of a sudden decided, let's just go ahead and get our stuff together and go. It was cold. We were all cold. We were all ready to get home in our beds. So we all packed up our stuff and headed home. I was having a little anxiety about not getting home until Saturday because I have so much to do. Excuse me, to get ready for New Year's coaching. I have a lot to do. So we decided to come home just a touch early. Um, but then the dog had a rough ride home. He wasn't feeling good. So it was 11:30 when we got home. By the time we got everything unloaded, half unpacked, the house has got stuff everywhere. Half unpacked. I'm half asleep still. It was 1 o'clock before we got to bed. So that's why I'm a little late this morning. The dog's drugs to calm him down on the car ride finally kicked in about 12 hours late. So he's a little drunk right now. Yes, I do need the day to relax, but today we have to run to our old house and pick up some stuff. But I can tell you this, whatever day January 1st is, I have a whole bunch of stuff to kick off and get moving. And then I plan to take 3 solid days and sit in a chair and do nothing but watch TV and just for 3 days sleep, wake up, sleep, wake up. That's my New Year's resolution. I'm gonna sleep for 3 days. Oh, all right. I have a massive headache too this morning. A terrible, terrible headache. All right, December 29th. The two witnesses, Revelation 11, 1 through 14. Then I was given a measuring stick, and I was told, go and measure the temple of God and the altar, and count the number of worshippers, but do not measure the outer courtyard, for it has been turned over to the nations. They will trample the holy city for 42 months, and I will give power to 2 of my witnesses, and they will be clothed in burlap and prophesy during those 1260 days. These 2 prophets are the 2 olive trees and the 2 lampstands that stand before the Lord of all the earth. If anyone tries to harm them, fire flashes from their mouths and consumes their enemies. This is how anyone who tries to harm them must die. They have the power to shut the sky so that the rain will fall for as long as they prophesy, will not fall for as long as they prophesy. And they have the power to turn the rivers and oceans into blood, and to strike the earth with every kind of plague, as often as they wish. When they complete their testimony, the beast that comes up out of the bottomless pit will declare war against them, and he will conquer them and kill them. And their bodies will lie in the main streets of Jerusalem, the city that is figuratively called Sodom, and Egypt, the tiny city where I don't know why I just put tiny in there. It's not in here. The city that is figuratively called Sodom, and Egypt, the city where the Lord was crucified. And for 3.5 years, all peoples, tribes, languages, and nations will stare at the bodies. No one will be allowed to bury them. All the people who belong to this world will gloat over them and give presents to each other to celebrate the death of the 2 prophets who tormented them. But after 3.5 days, God breathed life into them, and they stood up. Terror struck all who were staring at them. Then a loud voice from heaven called to the 2 prophets, come up here. And they rose up to heaven in a cloud as their enemies watched. At the same time, there was a terrible earthquake that destroyed 1/10 of the city. 7,000 people died in that earthquake, and everyone else was terrified and gave glory to the God of the heavens, God of heaven. The second terror is past, but look, the third terror is coming quickly. The 7th trumpet brings the third terror, Revelation 11:15 through 19. Then the seventh angel blew his trumpet, and there were loud voices shouting in heaven, "The world has now become the kingdom of our Lord and of his Christ, and he will reign forever and ever." 24 elders sitting on their thrones before God fell with their faces to the ground and worshipped him. And they said, "We give thanks to you, Lord God the Almighty, the one who is and who always was. For now you have assumed your great power, and you have begun to reign. The nations were filled with wrath, but now the time of your wrath has come. It is time to judge the dead and reward your servants, the prophets, as well as your holy people, and all who fear your name. From the least to the greatest, it is time to destroy all who have caused destruction on the earth." Then in heaven, the temple of God was open, and the ark of his covenant could be seen inside the temple. Lightning flashed, thunder crashed and roared, and there was an earthquake and a terrible hailstorm. The woman and the dragon, Revelation 12, 1 through 17. Then I witnessed in heaven an event of great significance. I saw a woman clothed with the sun, with the moon beneath her feet, and a crown of 12 stars on her head. She was pregnant, and she cried out because of her labor pains and the agony of giving birth. Then I witnessed in heaven another significant event. I saw a large red dragon with 7 heads and 10 thorns, with 7 crowns on his head. His tail swept away 1/3 of the stars in the sky, and he threw them to the earth. He stood in front of the woman as she was about to give birth, ready to devour her baby as soon as it was born. She gave birth to a son who was to rule all the nations with an iron rod, and her child was snatched away from the dragon, and was caught up with God and to his throne. And the woman fled into the wilderness, where God had prepared a place to care for her for 1260 days. Then there was war in heaven. Michael and his angels fought against the dragon and his angels. And the dragon lost the battle, and he and his angels were forced out of heaven. This great dragon, the ancient serpent called the devil or Satan, the one deceiving the whole world, was thrown down to the earth with all of his angels. Then I heard a loud voice shouting across the heavens, "It has come at last, salvation and power, and the kingdom of our God, and the authority of his Christ. For the accuser of our brothers and sisters has been thrown down to earth, the one who accuses them before our God day and night. And they have defeated him by the blood of the Lamb and by their testimony. And they did not love their lives so much that they were afraid to die. Therefore, rejoice, O heavens, and you who live in the heavens, rejoice. But terror will come on the earth and the sea, for the devil has come down to you in great anger, knowing that he has little time." When the dragon realized that he had been thrown down to the earth, he pursued the woman who had given birth to the male child. But she was given 2 wings like those of a great eagle, so she could fly to the place prepared for her in the wilderness. There she would be cared for and protected from the dragon for a time, times, and half a time. Then the dragon tried to drown the woman with a flood of water that flowed from his mouth. But the earth helped her by opening up its mouth and swallowing the river that gushed out from the mouth of the dragon. And the dragon was angry at the woman and declared war against the rest of her children, all who keep God's commandments and maintain their testimony for Jesus. The beast out of the sea, Revelation 12, 18 through 13:10. Then the dragon took his stand on the shore beside the sea. Then I saw a beast rising up out of the sea. It had 7 heads and 10 horns, with 10 crowns on its horns, and written on each head were the names that blasphemed God. This beast looked like a leopard, but it had the feet of a bear and the mouth of a lion. And the dragon gave the beast his own power, and the dragon gave the beast his own power and throne and great authority. I saw that one of the heads of the beast seemed wounded beyond recovery, but the fatal wound was healed. The whole world marveled at this miracle and gave allegiance to the beast. They worshiped the dragon for giving the beast such power, and they also worshiped the beast. "Who is as great as the beast?" they exclaimed, "and who is able to fight against him?" Then the beast was allowed to speak great blasphemies against God, and he was given authority to do whatever he wanted for 42 months. And he spoke terrible words of blasphemy against God, slandering his name and his dwelling, that is, those who dwell in heaven. And the beast was allowed to wage war against God's holy people and to conquer them. And he was given authority to rule over every tribe and people and language and nation. And all the people who belong to this world worship the beast. They are the ones whose names were not written in the book of life that belonged to the Lamb who was slaughtered before the world was made. Anyone with ears to hear should listen and understand. Anyone who is destined for prison will be taken to prison. Anyone destined to die by the sword will die by the sword. This means that God's holy people must endure persecution patiently and remain faithful. The beast out of the earth, Revelations 13:11 through 18. Then I saw another beast come up out of the earth. He had 2 horns like those of a lamb, but he spoke with the voice of a dragon. He exercised all authority of the first beast, and he required all the earth and its people to worship the first beast, whose fatal wound had been healed. He did astounding miracles, even making fire flash down to the earth from the sky while everyone was watching. And with all the miracles he was allowed to perform on behalf of the first beast, he deceived all the people who belonged to this world. He ordered the people to make a great statue of the first beast who was fatally wounded and then came back to life. He was then permitted to give life to the statue so that it could speak. Then the statue of the beast commanded that anyone refusing to worship it must die. He required everyone, small and great, rich and poor, free and slave, to be given a mark on the right hand or on the forehead, and no one could buy or sell anything without the mark, which was either the name of the beast or the number representing his name. Wisdom is needed here. Let the one with understanding solve the meaning of the number of the beast, for it is the number of a man. His number is 666. The Lamb and the 144,000. Revelation 14:1 through 5. Then I saw the Lamb standing on Mount Zion, and with him were 144,000 who had his name and his Father's name written on their foreheads. And I heard a sound from heaven like the roar of a mighty ocean wave, or the rolling of loud thunder. It was like the sound of many harpists playing together. This great choir sang a wonderful new song in front of the throne of God, and before the 4 living beings and the 24 elders. No one could learn this song except the 144,000 who have been redeemed from the earth. They have kept themselves as pure as virgins, following the Lamb wherever he goes. They have been purchased from among the people on the earth as a special offering to God and to the Lamb. They have been told no lies. They are without blame. The 3 angels, Revelation 14:6 through 13. And I saw another angel flying through the sky, carrying the eternal good news to proclaim to the people who belong to this world, to every nation, tribe, language, and people. Fear God, he shouted. Give glory to him, for the time has come when he will sit as judge. Worship him who made the heavens and the earth and the sea and all the springs of water. Then another angel followed him through the sky, shouting, Babylon is fallen. That great city is fallen, because she made all the nations of the world drink the wine of her passionate immorality. Then a third angel followed them, shouting, Anyone who worships the beast and his statue, or who accepts his mark on the forehead or on the hand, must drink the wine of God's anger. It has been poured full strength into God's cup of wrath, and they will be tormented with fire and burning sulfur in the presence of the holy angels and the Lamb. The smoke of their torment will rise forever and ever, and they will have no relief day or night, for they have worshipped the beast and his statue and have accepted the mark of his name. This means that God's holy people must endure persecution patiently, obeying his commands and maintaining their faith in Jesus. And I heard a voice from heaven saying, Write this down. Blessed are those who die in the Lord from now on. Yes, says the Spirit, they are blessed indeed, for they will rest from their hard work, for their good deeds follow them. The harvest of the earth, Revelation 14:14 through 20. Then I saw a white cloud, and seated on the cloud was someone like the Son of Man. He had a gold crown on his head and a sharp sickle in his hand. Then another angel came from the temple and shouted to the one sitting on the cloud, Swing the sickle, for the time of the harvest has come. The crop on earth is ripe. So the one sitting on the cloud swung the sickle over the earth, and the whole earth was harvested. After that, another angel came from the temple in heaven, and he also had a sharp sickle. Then another angel, who had the power to destroy with fire, came from the altar. He shouted to the angel with the sharp sickle, "Swing your swing, swing your sickle now to gather the clusters of grapes from the vines of the earth, for they are ripe for judgment." So the angel swung his sickle over the earth and loaded the grapes into the great winepress of God's wrath. The grapes were trampled in the winepress outside the city, and blood flowed from the winepress into a stream about 180 miles long and as high as a horse's bridle. All right, what did I do with my bookmark? What happened to it? All right, who knows? Oh, there it is, just as I closed the book. All right. All right. What day is it? It's the 29th. Making plans. Psalm 119, verse 133 says, "Direct my footsteps according to your word. Let no sin rule over me." The end of the year always brings with it a time of reflecting, setting goals, and new year, new you resolutions. As you think about your resolutions, let me challenge you to keep them flexible, because flexibility will enable you to keep stretching and reaching out, always being open to those who need a helping hand, to those we didn't expect to run into. In other words, try loosening up your life enough to be ready for divine interruptions. Don't structure your days and goals so rigidly that you lock God out from working, that you lock out God from working in the middle of them. It's too easy to book our calendar so full that we run from one activity to another, leaving only Sunday morning church as a time for meeting God. That's not what he wants. And it's really not what you want either. You want him by your side throughout the day. So build margin into your life for God to bring divine interruptions. He longs to walk with you into each moment of every day, loving you, leading you, guiding you. Build margin so you can hear him talking to you, and margin for you to talk back. Just be flexible, because I always say, "Blessed are the flexible, for they will not snap." Lord, I put you at the center of my plans this coming year. Help me hold lightly to them and firmly to you. Meredith. Sharp sickle. Sharp swickle. Swing the swickle. All right. I'm glad you could join us live, Karen. So Linnea, I have to read the review to see what I missed, because I think it would be maybe a little over the heads of a 4 and 5-year-old. They'd probably love the music but I think it might be over their heads. I'm trying to think. There wasn't anything. There wasn't anything that caused me pause. Like, there's a little scene where the bad guys, the criminals that are working together to keep Wonka from making chocolate. She's like a crazy innkeeper, and he's her minion or something. I don't know. And they're trying. The people are trying to get those two to fall in love, so they'll be distracted. And there's like a silly scene where he comes out in like short shorts. It looks absolutely ridiculous. It was hilarious. Not no obscenity and there was no swearing or nothing. I mean, I didn't see anything bad in it at all. I always hesitate to tell people that, and then I watch a movie with them and I'm like, "Oh, I don't remember that." I don't our kids loved it, and all of us really, and it was very well done. The guy that played Wonka was just, I mean, he was a fabulous choice for a young Wonka. Fabulous. Oh. I have to go read the plugged in review now and see what they say, because there was probably some deep meaning to some things that my brain didn't pick up on. That's usually the case. There's usually undertones to things, and I'm like, oh, I missed that. It just goes right over my head. I'm just there for the chocolate and the music. Oh, all right, my friends, let's go ahead. And this is very different, Meredith. This is not Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. This is young Wonka. So this is his rise to Wonka ship. This is how he became Wonka. Very different than all the other Wonka ones. Really great, I thought. All right, let's go ahead and pray, my friends. Father in heaven, thank you so much for this opportunity to gather together. Thank you for this home, this place to come and to go live with all these women and read the word and just spend some time with you. And I just thank you for your word. I thank you for the message in your word today. I thank you for the book of Revelations. It's complicated and confusing, and yet every time we read it, it's slightly, even just a touch more clear. And even though it's still over my head, most of it, I know that I pick up little pieces here and there each time I read it. And I just thank you for that. I thank you for, and I know that no matter how confusing it is, and when I read it and go, and don't understand it, that I also remember that your word does not return void. And there are promises there for me to absorb, whether I realize it or not. And I just thank you for those promises. God, I thank you for each person here. I thank you for all the prayer requests they've brought over the last few weeks. And God, I just praise you for their faithfulness to come and join in devotions and the way it's growing. And I just thank you that it continues to grow and that your word continues to just seep out there. God, I thank you for Jennifer, and that her dad had a bit of a better day yesterday. I pray for continued healing there. I also pray for Molly. I praise you for all that has happened with her and all the healing that has taken place, and that she is improving day by day. And I just thank you for that, God. And we just praise you. And I just pray that for her continued healing and strengthening as she now does physical therapy and learns to move her body again and learns walking and all of those difficult things that she has to walk through. I just thank you for the doctors and the nurses. And I just pray for your strength for her as she goes through this, as well as Amanda and Dustin. God, I just thank you for all the prayer requests that have been brought. I praise you for the answers that you've given, for the healing that has been brought. I continue to pray for those on the list with cancer and all of them crying out for healing, God. And I just pray for your healing touch for each one of them. God, as we go through this day, I just pray that you will help us to recognize you in the world around us, everywhere we go, the glimpses of you. And I just pray that you will help us to spread the love of Christ to others today, to be the message around our world, around our homes, our towns, that you will just help us to bring the light of Jesus wherever we go. In your precious name I pray. Amen. All right, my friends. Thank you so much for joining me. I'm still not. I'm not ready to go live for breakfast yet. Maybe I'll be able to do that tomorrow. I have too much of a headache and no food in the house. So I'm probably just gonna have a plain old bowl of oatmeal this morning. So with some kefir maybe. All right, friends. I love you so much. I hope you have an amazing Friday. And I will see you back for devotions again tomorrow. Love you guys.